Alright, Goose folks, welcome back. As the title says, I think we're going to do a little bit of some super basics again. The moving the battery video led to a few questions, so I think the majority of this video I'm going to show you guys the movement of the gas tank in this thing. But I just wanted to give you a quick rundown since Jake and I get the carpet pulled out of this thing. Again, finding more of it not being as ugly as I would have thought it was. I mean, she's got no holes in the floor. You know, the area where the brake cable is, or the emergency brake cable is usually pretty rotted out, and no holes there. Floors are all solid. Overall, this is actually a rather clean car. So if this ends up being the one that goes to Spring X, I'm going to be okay with that because it is a bubble, so it's something that I'm used to. 3100 being something that I'm obviously used to. So if winter sucks, which, well, it's Wisconsin, so it probably will, and we don't get back to the blue one, that'll be okay. If we do get to the blue one, great. We got options. Wreck as much shit as we can this year, right? Alright, so this guy here, main computer, she was inside the little plastic thing that we showed you in an earlier video. Pop the cover off, pop this guy out of this little plastic clip here. Now our wires are pretty well loose. I will still do a video on how to move those, but since we're talking about gas tank, we'll start there and try to get as basic as I can. So for a 3100, here's your fuel lines. Now I've only built like 8 of these fucking things, and I still don't remember which one's feed and which one's not, so we'll figure it out. I do know that the feed line is a little bit bigger. So how do we get rid of these things? There's a couple things. Usually I have a tool that's designed simply for taking these things off, and it slides inside here and pops this guy off. I can't find that tool, so I'm going to show you the way to do that without having that tool available. So let me grab a knife quick and we'll show you how to do that. Alright, we'll start real simple. Oh, maybe not. There we go. Well, it helps if you point the camera at what you're doing, dumbass. Okay. Now, just from what happened there, I'm going to assume the top one's my feed line because it had pressure built up in it and the bottom one didn't. But now, once those are cut, this is kind of a plastic type line. So I just start cutting from out here where the end of the nipple is. And I just start cutting back, cut a couple slits, and then this will break right off. So I'll show you the end result here in a second. Alright, so you can see the end result there after we stripped these things off. Obviously, that one's certainly bigger than that one, so this is my feed line. Now that is not the same on all vehicles. A lot of them are the same size for the in and out, so feed and return. If you can't figure it out, put a battery in the car, unhook both of them, turn the key on. Gas will shoot out of one and not out of the other. That's going to be the one that's your feed line. Pulled the windshield wiper motor out, cut a little hole there, and pounded the lip over so that I got a little bit of space to run my fuel line through. And I grabbed one of my fuel lines. Now, I buy all my stuff online, you guys know that. But you can go to most auto parts stores or whatever, they're going to carry fuel line. Make sure that you get the high pressure stuff. Spend the extra couple bucks. You don't need high pressure for your return line, but when you're running a pump that's rated for 45 PSI with a max of 90 plus, you don't want to run shit that's designed for carburetors that's got a 45 PSI rating. Guys do it, I know they do, and I know you're going to comment on here and say you've never had it fail and all that dumb shit. Yeah, I get it. That still doesn't mean you should recommend it, and it still doesn't mean that you should do it. So, fuel injection hose, make sure that it's the good stuff. If the circuit stops somewhere for some reason, these electric fuel pumps will build pressure up to 90, 100, 110 PSI, depending on the strength of your pump. They're designed to flow at 45, 50 PSI, whatever, but then it pushes through your regulator and it returns back to the tank. If something stops in that system, they will build more pressure. I dropped my giant crowbar down the filter area here. This is just for the blower motor. Usually there's a filter right on top of it. I just drop it all the way down through and break out the blower motor so you can see that there. And then I run my fuel line down through there. So there's one end of my fuel line sitting inside the car currently, ready to go to my pump. And I've got the other one that's just running right up here for now, but eventually it's going to run along that, down here, and we are going to take this fuel line. I'm not going to actually put it on there yet because I don't have my clamps, because you got to put your clamps on first. But then I would also recommend the high pressure fuel injection hose clamps. Let me see if I've got one sitting over here that I can shit, maybe not. I promise I keep working on getting organized, but apparently I'm doing a piss poor job of that. I know I've got them all over the damn place too. But see, like these are just the cheapos. Those are fine for your return line. Oops, they're fine to throw around too because they're cheap as hell. Here's one. Okay, so now you can see the difference. That's a regular one. That's a high pressure one. I recommend you use one like that for holding your pressurized lines on. So one of these on the out side of your fuel pump, and one where the hose goes to the motor, where I just showed you. So I'm going to hook those lines up quick, and I will show you the end result. Alright, there we go, finished product. I actually did the return line first. You can see it down there with a couple of the basic hose clamps. So we did the return line on bottom, runs up there through the little hole, all the way over and down through the blower motor hole, and then feed line up through there, around the inside the car, so they both go down the hole, and now they come out. Ooh, sorry, it's getting dark in here, guys, but you can see it. They come inside the car, and I got plenty of extras. I usually like to cut my fuel lines a little bit long, one, so they'll work for multiple cars, and two, because every time I take a fuel line out of a car, I always snip the ends, because that's typically where the lines fail, is right at the ends where they've been clamped together multiple times. So I'll just cut the ends off so you got a fresh spot for your next time that you're going to use it. Now, this video is starting to get a little bit long. I know the one with the battery got a little bit long also, but I can go a little bit more in-depth next video on actually hooking this up to your fuel pump. But really, as far as moving your lines, that's it. We're going to put a tank. Let's see. I got one under this pile of shit over here. Maybe not. Yeah, I think my tank's unfortunately somewhere in there, but you guys have seen my tanks before. So grab a tank. Then I've got my fuel pumps sitting up there. So these two are low pressure, so we can't use that one, but I'm going to use that guy up there. And I mean, hell, that's actually the way it sits right there. So that feed line will go right there. That line will go to the tank. You got a new fuel system. But we will go through that a little bit more in depth on the next video. Hope this helps. Trying to be as plain as possible. I know, like I said 100 times, a lot of you already know how to do this stuff, but for those of you that are just trying to get in, that's the basics. We obviously haven't taken the stock tank out yet, but we are in the process. That stock tank right now is ineffective. It's not going to do anything. If you turn the key on in this car, there's just going to be gas shooting all over the place. So I'm going to cut those lines right there, or those wires, so that I don't have power to my fuel pump, so that we can test this here in the next video. But for now, let's move into your gas lines. Appreciate you following along as always. Good goose.